Welcome back, everyone, to Lam's Cryptoverse. So today we're going to talk about, as the title says, analyzing a particular project's social engagement. Now, if you're looking for a project to gain momentum and you're looking for it to do really well and get lots of users and get all over the media, you want social engagement. It's one of the most important factors. Now, one of the most important factors, maybe number one, is tokenomics, but not for momentum. Tokenomics is extremely important for the long term of a project, and I did a presentation on that. You can take a look at that. But if you're looking for momentum, this is it. And let's get started. Remember, this is not financial advice. I'm here to entertain you. So I mentioned this a few times, so I go through this quickly. Crypto projects must be analyzed like a three-legged stool. So you got the macro, what's going on with geopolitics, interest rates, where they're going, because if we have liquidity, then we're going to have a good market for crypto. We have liquidity going down, pretty bad. No market. It's that simple. It seems like all risk assets, all they do is they basically follow liquidity, whether you're looking at M2 money supply or whatever, inflation. That's all risk assets follow these days. And this started in 2001 when the Fed started pumping the economy with lots of liquidity. So then you got fundamentals of the project, and that's what we're talking about today, social engagement. That's part of the fundamentals of a project. And what I also consider very important is technical analysis, especially for momentum. You want to make sure there's a good chart. Okay, what the heck is social engagement? So I'm not going to read this all to you. You could print this out and highlight it on your own. But basically, I'm just going to give you some examples. Overall, social engagement is actively interacting with the community. You could host a whiteboard series, which is what New Protocol does. An AMA, Ask Me Anything. You could be very interactive with your community. You could always organize events, like a conference, things like that. And you could publish articles on your blog, whatnot, things like that. Why do I think engagement is important? I think of engagement almost like if you're an alchemist. You've got social engagement. So this is maybe before I get started, this is my pyramid. This is like going off on what Vitalik Buterin said on his blockchain trilemma. So what I've got here in my triangle is social engagement, developers, and funding. I think you need these three things to begin and continue that network effect. So you're like an alchemist. You're mixing these ingredients. And I think you need these three ingredients to become successful, at least in the beginning, to get that network effect started. If you don't have these three ingredients, you're not going anywhere. Now, some blockchains have these three ingredients, but they haven't gone somewhere yet. But I still think there's a probability that they can get that network effect if they have these ingredients. And I didn't talk about funding yet. I'll do another presentation on that. And I've been hesitant to work on a presentation on funding because there's low transparency. Basically, the treasuries are obfuscated. I'm using all these fancy words today. Basically, it's not easy to get the funding level of a blockchain. I mean, sometimes it's applied on-chain, but a lot of times it's not. So types of social engagement, I think you all know these, so I'm just going to let you look at these at your own sweet time. Sources of information, again, we've got something related to Twitter, and that's the Twitter score.io. I think this is one of the most important websites that no one talks about. So it shows you not only the people with the largest number of followers on X, but it shows you the changes in how engaged those people are. Unfortunately, it only goes back to 30 days. And they have a Twitter popularity rating. I wish they went back over years so you could see whether or not their Twitter scores are rising and falling over several years. And then you got coin market cap. Everyone looks at that to get prices on a particular or their favorite coin. But you can also find the number of followers for that particular project. So that's pretty interesting. And you can also find charts on social media on Missouri, believe it or not. Missouri does have charts. Some of these charts are not accurate, by the way, so just be careful. Another good one in terms of sentiment is Luna Crush. And then you got Santiment slash Sandbase, as well as Coin Telegraph. They have a professional website where you have to pay a monthly fee for. And even a free website like Seeking Alpha. I'm sure many of you know Seeking Alpha for stocks. Like if you're looking up Apple Computer, you go to Seeking Alpha and you can find analyses on Apple Computer. You can find an income statement for Apple Computer, but you can also find the number of people that are following Apple Computer, and you could do the same thing with some cryptos. Not all cryptos, maybe a few, maybe 100. I'm not sure how many. So there isn't too much coverage, but you can see, for example, if there are more people following Solana versus Harmony or Near Protocol. So that's pretty important. So let's focus on Twitter/X. Here you can see that the number of Twitter followers has gone up dramatically over time for Near Protocol. That's pretty important. One thing that worries me a little bit is it doesn't seem to jive with network activity. Like, trying to remember when it was. I think it was 6 months ago. There wasn't much network activity on Near Protocol, but the number of Twitter followers was going up rapidly. So something didn't jive there. This one here is from Santiment, and it shows you engagement for Ethereum. And I like this one here because it not only shows you engagement in the red line, it shows you engagement versus the price of ETH. And you could see that sometimes the price of ETH is going up as the social engagement is going up. So that's a good time. You could also see sometimes social engagement is going up because there's news, like the infamous merge upgrade, when Ethereum moved from proof of work to proof of stake. And you could see that red line shot up at that time. And here's social engagement for specific projects and some points I have to say for each of those projects. XRP has very high social engagement, but I'm a little worried about it because it's run by a for-profit corporation called Ripple Labs. So I'm not sure if they're buying engagement. Multiverse X, what's very surprising about this chain, and this used to be the former Elrond or ERD or eGold. Now this chain has fairly high social engagement despite its low market cap. So that's a pretty good thing. That shows you that there are a lot of people engaged, and it's not just the community, it's developers. They're engaged on Multiverse, even though it's a small market cap. So that's what you want to see. Ethereum, I don't think I need to tell you about Ethereum, has very high social engagement, and Vitalik is a god. Polkadot also has very high social engagement, and it's very important because its engagement is high despite of no one using it. So that's interesting. Solana has both user engagement, DApp engagement, lots of developers, and a high Twitter score. So it's got everything, basically. Near Protocol, we discussed. Aptos surprised me because there's low social engagement, a fewer amount of Twitter followers, despite all the press it's getting. Because remember, Aptos and Sui, these were the two projects that came out of Diem, which was the blockchain project out of Meta, which used to be called Facebook. All these name changes. Avalanche is very popular too, and it gets a highly ranked Twitter score. I think Avalanche is popular because it's being used by a lot of gamers. They love their Avalanche's, what do they call them, subnets. What else? L2s are very popular too, and they're in the news lately. Chainlink and some the other oracle called Pyth is also very popular. And of course, Celestia, everyone's talking about Celestia because data availability is also very important. So this is an example of how Celestia is doing a good job getting its word out there, because Near Protocol also has data availability, but nobody knows about it. And I mentioned Pyth Network. Oh, I didn't realize I said here it's less popular than I expected. It seems popular because they're all over YouTube. So again, I mentioned Solana, but here's some examples. Solana, as I mentioned, has organic, broad-based engagement. The teams engage. I think they have a great leader in Toli. They have lots of developers, lots of dApps. They got the Solana Saga phone that was sold out. Now there's Solana phone version 2, and that's, I believe, sold out again. Another 30,000 phones got sold out within days. You got the Breakpoint conference that was unbelievable. It's one of the most engaged, high-energy conferences I've ever seen. And here on the left side, what I'm showing you is that Twitter score, but it's not for Solana. It's for the Solana phone. Even its phone has its own Twitter score, which is amazing when you think about that. I've never seen a project that has its own phone being rated, or whatever, being its own dApps being rated separately. You don't see that. It's not too common. I mean, yes, there are some Ethereum dApps that are rated separately, but the dApps on Solana are just so popular right now. And this is not even talking about NFTs and Magic Garden and things like that. So final thoughts. I think it's very important that you get high social engagement on your favorite project. Very, very important. But remember, if you want that network effect, you got to have good funding, and you got to have a lot of developers. You got to have activity in terms of that. I'm saying if you don't have activity in terms of transactions and number of users, in order to get that started, you have to have strong engagement. I think I talked about everything. One last thing, point number 2, walk away and determine if the engagement feels authentic and organic. If it doesn't, do a deep dive into the product. You should always be doing a deep dive. But if it doesn't, look at the other factors and see if they feel authentic and organic. Because if they don't, that project could be manipulated, maybe by a for-profit foundation. So I think that's everything. So I hope you're enjoying these educational videos, because there aren't many out there. And I made these videos because I couldn't find anything out there. Not just videos, even books. I'm always looking for books on Amazon.com that can educate myself, and then maybe I could educate you on how to look at and analyze crypto projects, but I don't see any out there. So that's why I came out with this education series to educate you. And when I'm educating you, believe it or not, I'm educating myself. Well, thank you all for listening, and don't forget to smash that like button.